Today I want to show you how to do clustering in Tableau. Tableau uses k-means clustering and is really easy to use for creating clusters, visualizing clusters, so that's what we're going to do today. So I want to do clustering based on the Human Development Index data that can be found at this website right here, and I'll put this link in the comments along with a link where you can download the file that I downloaded on the day that I downloaded it, in case you want to match what I'm doing today. So once you have the file downloaded, you can open up Tableau and connect to the data set. So this data set is an Excel file, so we can connect to an Excel file and choose our file to open. So now let's use the data interpreter option, and then you can double click on table 1. So now we can see this data. We have the Human Development Index rank for a bunch of different countries. And here we can see the Human Development Index and several variables: life expectancy at birth, expected years of schooling, and several other variables for each of these countries. So let's go to sheet 1. And let's start by making a scatter plot with, let's say, life expectancy at birth and mean years of schooling. So we can double click life expectancy at birth and double click mean years of schooling. But this is only one point. We want a scatter plot. So let's go up to analysis and uncheck aggregate measures. There we go. So now I like my dots filled in. So under marks, instead of automatic, let's set this to circle. There we go. And then down here at the bottom, it says 7 nulls. Let's exclude those values. There are a number of countries for which we probably don't have information. And then if you look at this vertical axis, there are 4 countries where it says that mean years of schooling is 0. To see what those countries are, and to see the country for each point, let's double click on country. Now this will let us see what countries each point corresponds to. So here, this is saying Monaco, Korea, North Korea, and 2 other countries are showing up as 0 mean years of schooling. It's possible that the mean years of schooling is 0, but it also might just be that we don't have information about those countries. So I'm going to leave them in our view here, but you could filter out those countries if you did a little bit more research on the situation, if you decided that your analysis should not include those countries in this particular case. So now we have our scatter plot, and now let's do the clustering. So we can go over to analytics, and then under model, we can see cluster. So let's double click on cluster. Now it's showing us that we're looking at by country and clustering based on these variables: life expectancy at birth and mean years of schooling. And right now it's doing 2 clusters, but you could choose some other number here, like 3 if you wanted. Let's see, I'm going to set it to 3. So if we do 3, then this is what we would get. If we wanted to change that back to 2, we could go to Edit Clusters and change this back to 2. And that would show us how these countries would be grouped. But this scatter plot, it's kind of hard to see. I mean, we can scroll over and see what countries are grouped together, but it might be a little bit difficult to really understand what these clusters, what countries are being grouped together in these clusters. So let's go down to a new worksheet, and let's try to see on a map what these clusters would be. So now let's start by double clicking on country to get a map. And then under marks, instead of automatic, let's change this to map. Okay, we have a world map. So let's say we want to, again, cluster these countries with those same 2 variables: life expectancy at birth and mean years of schooling. So let's take those variables and drag them to detail. Now we can do the same thing, go to analytics and double click on cluster. And let's choose 2 clusters, which is what it has now. This gives us a really nice visual of where these countries are that are being put in these clusters when we cluster based on the variables life expectancy at birth and mean years of schooling. So this is a really nice visual. Now, something that's nice about this is we can use more than 2 variables to do the clustering. So let's go to this clusters and let's remove it. And let's say I also want to cluster on another variable. So I'm going to go back to data and let's include gross national income per capita. So I'm going to take that and drag that also to detail. So now I have 3 variables. So now if I go back to analytics and do this clustering again, it's showing that I'm clustering based on 3 variables. So this would be like looking at something in 3 dimensions and trying to figure out which points were close to each other in 3 dimensions. So now this is showing with 3 clusters which countries would be grouped together with these 3 variables. And again, I could go and edit this and I could try 4 or 5 different clusters, whatever is helpful for this analysis, just to get an idea of what's happening. And so in Tableau, this is very easy to do this clustering, which is great, and it's easy to create nice maps doing clustering. So if you want to cluster countries or states or counties or things like that with different quantitative variables, this might be a helpful tool to use.